Wong with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan has been stepping up efforts to develop drones for national defense, and recent examples have shown how uncrewed systems can help counter larger, more conventional military threats. But as Alan Liu reports, a special budget for drones in the legislature remains up in the air.
Uncrewed surface vessels, or USVs, simulates the explosion of a target boat during a demonstration in southern Taiwan. Taiwanese drone maker Thunder Tiger showcased a swarm operation using two of its Sea Shark USVs, powered by Shield AI's HiveMind autonomous software. Swarm tactics use AI to enable multiple surface drones to operate as a unit. The vessels can conduct distributed reconnaissance or launch saturation attacks against larger enemy warships, creating an asymmetric advantage.
当然，我们台湾四面环海啊，这个要来那个关照的区域非常的广大啊，所以这种蜂群的一个战略哦，以及这个 AI 自主这个无人，好，就像我们今天看到的这样子，是多平台可以。
By combining and integrating software onto these hardware platforms, we are seeing a great return of investment because it offers better options for the decision makers whenever there are decisions to be made.
A group of Taiwanese lawmakers recently visited the Navy's newly established Littoral Combatant Command, which is designed to strengthen Taiwan's coastal defense capabilities. The new command also places an emphasis on integrating drones for surveillance and target acquisition. While both the government and private sector are investing heavily in drone technology, debate continues over how much Taiwan should spend on these systems. This has prompted President Lai Ching-te's call to greenlight a special budget of up to $6.5 billion to procure drones and USVs through the end of 2031.
规划筹购滨海尖针型、滨海攻击型无人机以及小型自杀无人艇。我要再次呼吁立法院朝野各党团，以国家安全为优先，支持行政院所提版本。
A California-based drone company says one of its USVs recently sailed inside the Philippines' exclusive economic zone and captured close-up footage of a Chinese guided missile destroyer. The incident highlights how a small drone boat costing a few $100,000 can get close to and potentially threaten a warship worth billions. Fu Huahong and Anna Lu for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's defense ministry is reporting a surge in Chinese military activity around the country. The ministry says it tracked 22 aircraft around Taiwan since Thursday morning. 16 of the aircraft flew closer to Taiwan's main island. The incursions come just weeks before Taiwan conducts its largest annual military drill, the 10-day Hanguang exercise. A pro-China Unification party could be facing extinction as Taiwan's government makes historic moves to dissolve it over national security concerns. Reese Ayers has more.
A political party is facing an existential crisis here in Taiwan as the Interior Ministry prepares to file a petition with the Constitutional Court to dissolve the pro-Beijing Chinese Unification Promotion Party, or CUPP.
The filing, which also includes evidence from foreign sources, says the party has long been involved in organized crime, and its connections to China endanger national security, social stability, and the integrity of elections in Taiwan. It also cites key members being implicated in violations of 7 laws, including the National Security and Anti-Infiltration Acts. Officials say the party serves as a cover for gang operations, pointing to over 100 members investigated or arrested for organized crime or taking Chinese funds to influence elections and build covert networks in Taiwan.
我们认为已经危害中华民国的存在，而且它长期的统促党。 长期是系统性的、组织性的犯罪，危害到自由民主的宪政秩序，而且也危害到我们社会稳定跟选举的公正性。
The ministry first moved to dissolve the party in 2025, but the case was stalled after legal changes left the Constitutional Court without enough justices to hear cases. Although a subsequent ruling allowed the court to resume operations, the decision itself remains controversial, and any ruling could face political scrutiny. After over a year of collecting evidence, the case will finally be submitted. TaiwanPlus was unable to contact the CUPP for comment, though they have previously framed attempts to dissolve them as political persecution. If the courts accept the case and choose to dissolve, the CUPP would become the first ever political party disbanded in this way.
It could set a landmark precedent for the legal boundaries of Taiwan's democratic defense, as the government seeks to address concerns over foreign influence and interference. Alex Chen and Rhi says in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
The CUPP has since condemned the move, saying the ruling Democratic Progressive Party is abusing its power to target a legally registered political party. Taiwan will no longer process visa applications for Moroccan citizens who want to travel to the country, after Morocco did the same for Taiwanese.
摩洛哥政府骤然采取停发措施，已经对国人赴当地商旅造成障碍，并影响两国交流。基于双边交流的对等原则，外交部宣布从7月30日起，除经专案核准外，暂停受理摩洛哥籍人士来台的签证申请。
Last week, Taiwanese citizens applying for Moroccan visas found that their applications had been suspended without notice. Taiwan's foreign ministry confirmed that the Moroccan government told its embassies to stop processing Taiwanese applications and has since instructed its offices to do the same. The ministry is urging the Moroccan government to resume exchanges as normal. Australia has become the top lender in the Pacific, replacing China in the post-pandemic era. That's according to new findings by the Lowy Institute. Australia also remains the top provider of aid to the region, having spent about $1.5 billion throughout the Pacific in 2024. That accounted for 37% of all aid in the area. While China's loans to Pacific nations are tapering off, its programs in the region are shifting towards gifting smaller grants into sectors like health and education. To find out more about Beijing's diplomatic priorities in the region, Leslie Liao spoke with Graham Smith from Australian National University.
It's recently come out that Australia has replaced China as the top lender to Pacific nations amid declining loans from Beijing. Now, what do you make of this?
I mean, Australia has always been way ahead of China in lending in the Pacific. What's notable is since about 2016, China's aid to the region kind of peaked and has gradually been going down ever since, whereas Australia's outlays have, largely either stayed the same or gone up a little bit.
Does this shift signal any change in Beijing's diplomatic strategy for the Pacific, or is it indicative of declining influence in the region?
It's indicative of Beijing not having as much foreign reserves to throw around as it used to have to throw around. And that's why it dates back to 2016. So they faced basically a sell-off of the RMB between 2015 and 2016, which meant they went from having a surplus of around about 7 trillion to a much more modest surplus in sort of foreign exchange terms or in foreign reserve terms. What you can extrapolate is that now when China gives a loan, it's much more thought out than it was in the past. So if a country is receiving loans, you can be sure that this is a much clearer signal than in the past when it was much more scattergun. So they are in many ways a better indicator of where a country is in terms of China's priorities. Whereas if you look back to, say, 2009, when the money was just flying out the door, every Pacific nation was getting showered in these concessional loans, and that led to quite a substantial amount of debt, which is another reason why they've pulled back, because the narrative of debt trap diplomacy has been very effective, and they don't really want to be seen to be giving these big concessional loans anymore.
The Pacific is home to a good chunk of Taiwan's 12 remaining diplomatic allies. Now, amid this trend where Beijing is lending less to Pacific nations, are there any implications for Taiwan diplomatically in the region?
I mean, it does, on the surface of it, offer an opportunity for Taiwan. But if you look at the Lowy data, which is where you've got your information from, you'll find that Taiwan has slipped out of the top 10 donors in the region. It used to be well up there in the top 10 because it had more allies. What's happened is, as Taiwan has lost allies, the funding has just been withdrawn. It hasn't been reallocated to the existing allies or reallocated to the region as a whole, which might have been a kind of arguably a better holding strategy for Taiwan in the region to, okay, you're losing your bilateral partners, but maybe give the money regionally to maintain some sort of influence. And generally speaking, that hasn't been done.
That was Graham Smith from Australian National University. Europe's wildfires continue to rage, and not just in Spain and France anymore. As the fight to battle the flames drags on, there's been an outpouring of community spirit in some places as volunteers pitch in to help. John Van Trieste reports.
A firefighting plane zooms towards its target, a patch of burning forest in Spain's smoldering countryside. Special planes like these can lift up to 6,000 liters of water into the air, ready to drench the flames below. But the battle against this year's massive wildfire outbreak has been a long one, and even the well-trained military pilots flying these missions are feeling pushed to their limits.
I just can't stop being shocked. The fire has indeed been on a colossal scale. We've been flying for kilometers from the loading point to the drop zones, taking in the desolate landscape. And the truth is, it's a real shame, because we're fighting to defend the greatest treasure we have, our countryside and our natural environment. And it's very emotionally draining.
Civilians on the ground face the nightmarish aftermath of these fires up close, sometimes returning to homes they can no longer recognize. For some people, like the residents of the town of Artana in Spain's east, the pain is compounded by the knowledge that they'd done everything right and still weren't spared.
Artana
was one of the few municipalities that cleared the outskirts of the town during the winter. The entire perimeter area was cleaned because there was a large amount of leaf litter and undergrowth. The municipality did a great deal to clear it up and improve the town in that respect. But as you can see, the mountains are burning before our eyes.
Spanish officials said Wednesday that conditions overnight had helped firefighters get some control. But still, parts of the countryside burn fiercely, and Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says the coming hours will be critical. In neighboring France, firefighters exhausted by days of battling intense blazes take a moment to rest and gather their strength ahead of the next attack. Conditions have been tough, but firefighters haven't been alone, as a spirit of community spreads in affected areas. Everyone helps how they can. Volunteers form backup brigades to put out flames.
So when we saw this on the news, we couldn't just sit back and do nothing, so we said we'd go. I contacted my mate, he was up for it, off we went. So yeah, we got a hold of a milk tank from a farmer friend who kindly agreed to lend it to us. We loaded up and then came straight down. We took the highway, got here, and were sent straight to the site. And since yesterday, we've been here filling the wildfire tankers, doing everything we can.
Other volunteers tend to the evacuees staying in shelters, even giving their pets veterinary care.
I just couldn't sit in a flat doing nothing while all this was happening, knowing I might have some useful skills, or if nothing else, simply be able to lend a hand. Turns out there's plenty to do here. When you see all these people with animals who haven't necessarily had time to take everything they need, there's a lot of advice to give and plenty of practical help we can offer, thanks to the extraordinary volume of donations we have received.
But tragedy continues to spread, including elsewhere in Europe. 3 Greek firefighters died Wednesday as fires surged across the island of Crete, fanned by strong winds. And just adjacent to Europe in southwest Turkey, similar conditions are feeding large blazes in wooded areas. Experts say Europe has always had wildfires, but that these latest ones are not at all normal.
The effect of climate change in what is happening today in Europe is very strong. It's impossible to deny it or to hide it. It's not the only thing that is happening. So this is not just about climate change. It's an emergency across scales and stakeholders. But climate change and this intense, continuous number of heat waves that we are suffering is making the forest and the vegetation a level of dryness that is very unusual.
But normal or not, it is happening, testing Europe with a grueling fight to keep the flames under some kind of control. Andy Xue and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Coming up after the break, Taiwan's sports tech innovation takes center stage at a Taipei AI exhibition.
For more stories from here in Taidong, Taiwan, and around the world, visit TaiwanPlus.com.
经历过人生的话，你发现说，我们大部分都是爱美的。
我自己少遇见一朵花，我可能就不是这个样子。
开始思考什么叫做一个本土性。
大声的唱出来说我是台湾人。
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, download the TaiwanPlus app or follow us on social media. And by the way, this over here is drone soccer.
Welcome back to What's Up Taiwan. Taiwan has officially recognized a Pingpu Plains indigenous group for the first time. Premier Zhou Rongtai made the big announcement at a Taipei ceremony to Siraya people in attendance.
我已经在行政院的院会正式的代表行政院宣布，西拉雅族是台湾正式的原住民族。
恭喜西拉雅族终于回家了。
Siraya is the largest plains group in southern Taiwan and has historically assimilated into Han Chinese and Japanese communities. The group has been working to revive its language and fought for legal recognition for the past 2 decades. After the top court ruled its exclusion from Taiwanese laws unconstitutional in 2022, a separate law now allows each Pingpu Plains group to determine who qualifies as a member of its group. The cabinet has now approved Siraya's identity rules.
喜拉雅文化协会呢，它其实这之前有召开民族的大会所以在大会上形成高度的共识一致通过哈。那我们知道原住民族群的这个法定上的法律有400多条100-200部的法律，那我们现在只有获得3部法律。 这个法把它修得齐全，让它能够完整的一个权利上的一个回复。
The Council of Indigenous Peoples says the Siraya people will be able to register for legal status starting in mid-August. A number of artificial intelligence firms from across the country are gathering in Taipei for the Wave AI exhibition, an event to show off their latest tech. And Taiwan is showcasing itself as a leader in sports technology innovation. Our reporter Lily Lamatina was there.
We're here at the Wave AI exhibition in Taipei, where companies from across Taiwan's AI sector are coming together. And one of the key themes this year is how AI is helping athletes train smarter. The Taiwan Institute of Sports Science is using AI to transform training. Its platform analyzes footage and turns it into data both coaches and athletes can use.
那传统上当然就是必须要用教练，然后他直接用2个人看影片，然后口述嘛的方式去跟所谓的选手去做沟通。但是这个技术来讲，他们是完全是透过深度学习的方式去侦测到球，还有球棒，以及我们去画出它的一些轨迹，相对的一些轨迹。
The technology is also being tested in shooting sports, delivering more accurate results to athletes than what traditional metrics could give.
平常我们在看射击的时候，可能单纯只有看到成绩的一个部分。那我们透过这个模拟器，我们就可以去看到更多射击上面一些技术上面的一些细节。那这些数据提供给运动员，让他们在做一些技术上面的一些调整，可以有一些数据上面的依据。
And it's innovations like these that are catching the eyes of government officials. Taiwan's National Development Council pledged to support its startup ecosystem.
我们在希望说，在今天你可以看到很多非常具备活力的新创公司那也再次讲一下，就是说所有的AI 新创产业，你如果在算力、资料、人才、行销和资金上有任何需要帮助的地方，随时跟我们说话分享。
Through combining cash, regulation, and talent, the government is hoping to help these worthy startups move from ideas to the global market. And officials hope that developments like these will help position Taiwan as a developer of AI that impacts a wide variety of industries. Justin Wu and Lily Lamantina in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's top fencers are sharpening their skills for the Asian Games in Japan this September, hoping to bag the nation's first ever medal in the sport. Our reporter Sandy Chi met them in training.
Crossing swords with the goal to land the winning touch. Taiwan's top fencers have their eyes set on the podium at the Asian Games in Japan this September. This time, Taiwan is sending a total of 8 fencers to the Games. Among them, the men's epee team has qualified for the first time in 36 years. Their coach believes they're ready.
那我们男子锐剑的话，从去年9月就进来国训，然后我们有集体在国训这边一起训练，那个强度是够的，所以我们从去年9月到现在的话，我们男子锐剑的实力真的进步了非常多，所以到目前为止以团体来讲的话，我们确实是准备好了。
因为我们男锐很久没有就是进亚运了，当然是期许就是不管是我们的个人团体都可以拿到好成绩，而且因为这段时间我们这样子打团体赛下来，我会觉得我们配合的还不错，所以我们认为说这次亚运我们的夺牌机会是蛮大的。
Among the squad, there's a lot of attention on foil fencer Chen Yitong or Antonio Chen. The 23-year-old will be making his 3rd appearance at the Asian Games. He made his Asian Games debut at just 15 years old in 2018 and came within a single point of reaching the medal rounds at the last Games in Hangzhou, China in 2023.
第一次就年纪比较小，就可能就有点可以当做经验，然后第2次就真的有希望可以挑战登上颁奖台，可是我之后就发现我也自己有那个习惯，就是很想要赢，然后越想要赢的时候，失误就会变多，可能心态也会变比较急，所以我觉得。 这次，过去比赛之后，我学到就是，想要赢，可是可以用不同方式，用更有耐心的方式来打，希望可以个人跟团体都有拿牌。
Based in the United States, 2 years ago, Chen became the first Taiwanese male Olympic fencer in 36 years when he competed at the Summer Games in Paris.
他也是长期在美国那边。那美国的话，他们的击剑是非常强的一个国家。那这个过程当中，其实他也很多不同类型的选手，所以说，我觉得他在实战方面的话，其实对于说，应付各类型的选手的状况下反而是比较可以快一点适应的。对，所以说，我觉得蛮期待说他这一次在我们这次亚运会的一个表现。
And with a lot of tournament experience under his belt despite his young age, Chen hopes he'll be able to use that to support his teammates.
就希望可以当一个好队友，就是尤其在团体赛的时候，团体赛击剑的团体赛是那种有点像接力，就是一棒接一棒。那我们就是多鼓励队友，然后互相挺，就是让他们知道这场可能如果打不好或是没有把握的话，可以放给下一棒打。
With the games fast approaching in September, Taiwan's fencers are putting in the hard yards with quick feet as they lunge and parry their way to glory, with their sights set on the podium and securing the country's first ever medal in the sport. Yuan Duan and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
In a country with one of the lowest birth rates in the world, people in South Korea are turning to pets for companionship. But it's hard to know what these four-legged family members are thinking. So pet owners are turning to a new way to interpret their relationships with their animals, tarot. Amanda Stevens has more.
It's a common question animal owners ask themselves. Staring into their furry companion's soulful eyes, they might wonder, what exactly is my pet thinking?
Since this little one has trauma, unlike other dogs, I was really curious. I wanted to know what he was thinking. He sleeps next to me every night and follows me around like a bodyguard. And I was genuinely curious whether that's hard for him. I thought he might get tired. So I was really curious about those kinds of things.
To get the answer to such an elusive question, some in South Korea are turning to fortune-telling. Pet Tarot is a new service that's supposed to offer insight into what's going on in their furry little heads. Some owners even say it's a gateway for connecting with them on a deeper level.
When it comes to communicating with tarot, this is what tarot means to me.
If I had previously understood only about 5 simple emotions such as this one is sick, happy or sad, and so on, terror now seems to speak to me in at least 20 or 30 different kinds of language.
Like Taiwan, South Korea is struggling with a declining birth rate as education and housing costs rise. As people opt not to have children, pets are offering a different kind of companionship. One fortune teller says that tarot reading for her pets goes beyond blind chance. Instead, it's a way for people to interpret their actions.
Through their sense of smell, they take actions such as placing a paw on a certain part, or if they're more active, lifting their nose. So you can think of it as a method in which we read the cards that they've chosen in that way.
Each tarot reading session with Wong Soo-kyung costs roughly $14 US, and she says that her clients always come back eager to learn more about their pets. She has designed different decks for different species, like turtles and other reptiles. With ownership in South Korea growing, Wong offers people a chance to better understand their deep relationships with their pets, letting the tarot cards speak for those that can't speak for themselves. Scott Huang, Leslie Liao, and Amanda Stevens for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of wingfoil surfers taking on the waves at the Wingfoil World Cup in Spain. I'm Tiffany Wong. Take care and see you next time.